The Fourth and Goal Podcast.
That's all it is. But there's a lot of airspace to cover for Milroe. Still looking. Firing. Near corner. It's caught! Touchdown, Alabama!
Strebler dials it up. End zone! Touchdown! They're going to snap it, and it's Trey Burton who throws caught. Foles! Touchdown!
There ain't no podcast like the Fourth and Goal Podcast. Like, hit that subscribe button and share.
What's going on, everybody? It's
Welcome.
the Fourth and Goal Podcast here on a Tuesday evening. Just came home from a Tigers game, and got a new flag in this morning. So, background's improving. Not as cool as Justin's, even though they're Michigan jerseys, but Justin's got a pretty nice background himself. Today, we're going to be talking about the NFL Week 1, our reactions to some of the games and our evaluations and analysis. And then we'll talk a little bit about the AP Top 25 and a little bit of the Fourth and Goal poll, which is out on socials right now at Fourth and Goal Pod. Check it out on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Justin, you want to get this started off for the NFL? And we talked about the Ravens-Chiefs game. So if you haven't tuned into our first episode uploaded on YouTube, or if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, please go check it out if you want our analysis for that game. But Justin, you want to get into this Cardinals-Bills game?
Yeah, we'll get there. Before we get into the NFL, you mentioned that you were at the Tigers game tonight, and we can't let that just slip by without saying that Cater Montero threw the first shutout complete game today since the last no-hitter was thrown, and it's escaping my mind right now. So that was a good game for you to be at today, and the Tigers are holding steady at 3 games out.
Yeah, shout out to Andy. My mom's cousin, he works for the Colorado Rockies, hooked me up with some free tickets. Had a pretty nice view. I'll send you a picture later.
Yeah,
if you can see on my Snapchat. And we were. It's where players typically sit. So what they do, and if you ever see people right behind the dugout, typically they're players' tickets for the opposing team or the home team. So it was pretty cool, pretty nice seats. Really watching the game closely, especially at the professional level, is something that in hockey and in baseball, it's really interesting to watch.
yep.
Any professional sport, but especially in hockey and baseball.
I agree. Yeah, and I always said, man, and they're cheaper to go to, and I love baseball, live baseball. There's nothing like it for me.
Yeah, it beats going to a Lions game for $300.
300 on the light side.
Yeah,
the nosebleeds. But
all right.
Yeah, let's get into some NFL. So we're going to hit Bills Cardinals first.
Oh, let's go Packers Eagles. The game on.
All right, let's go Packers Eagles. All right, and this is week 1, guys. We're not going to get too out of control with this. You know what I mean? It's overreaction week. I think the first big headline in that game is going to be Jordan Love going down with an injury. I don't think anybody really knows what's going on yet with him. We'll find out.
The timetable says 3 to 6 weeks. I don't know because it's an MCL sprain, but how severe of a sprain is it? I don't know.
What up, Tom? Shout out to Tom.
Shout out Tom. Is that Salone?
Yep, Sloan.
All right.
Yep. So so obviously the first big headline in that game, you got Jordan Love injury, and then the Saquon, man, he had himself a day. I know the Giants, they look stupid in the Hard Knocks for basically, just letting them walk away. And
right.
The Eagles, of course, capitalized on it. And, man, he didn't disappoint, did he?
No, I mean, Saquon was probably the most impressive player in this game other than maybe Jaden Reed. But I think that was more of a shocker of how good he performed.
Yeah.
I think this game, I didn't have much to catch of this game. I rewatched a little bit of bits and pieces here. Me and Justin were both working while this game was going on. Plus it was on Peacock too. Who wants to watch a game on Peacock?
Yeah.
But yeah, Saquon looked really good. AJ Brown played really good as well. But I also think it was just really tough for defenses to play on that turf and in that environment because it just wasn't maintained very well. And to be quite honest, with how much stuff's going on in Brazil and all the controversy around it, I don't think they should really go back there. That's going to be my honest opinion. Yeah. I know they're trying to expand the game, but You know what? You don't have to go everywhere, man. There's
Yeah.
reasons why certain performers and artists or comedians or whatever don't go to certain places, man. And
Yeah,
just
let's hit on a couple game things though first before we move on from this game because
yeah.
like you said, you brought up Jaden Reed, and I thought that was a pretty pleasant surprise because Jacobs is going to do his thing, and obviously they need Love to come back. But you got Dobbs and Christian Watson are kind of
I
their
think you
established
have a
guys.
pretty solid distribution of targets where if
Yeah,
like I know they contacted Ryan Tannehill, and if you're whether he plays or not, and if it's Malik Willis, um, then I think he's gonna be fine. I think he's a quarterback that if he can dump it off and get outside of the pocket and find a receiver coming on a crossing route or on an out route, or if it ends up being some sort of broken play, I think that he'll be fine. I think the receiving room's deep. Josh Jacobs, pretty good running back.
Malik Willis and Tannehill aren't going to be good enough for the NFC North, bro.
Both,
They need Love back.
both Titans quarterbacks coming to Green Bay, man.
Yeah, it just doesn't work out. Yeah. Well, yeah, they're going to have Vrabel's quarterback room there in Green Bay.
Yeah. So, on the Eagles side of things, I mean, I don't think this game really like says much to me. I think it's week one in a weird place, man. I'm just nothing stands out where I'm like, oh yeah, I really see something in this team. And you're not going to really see that week one to begin with, as you heard our college reactions. We just talking about the teams going into the games of this week, like we still don't know that much. And
Yeah.
we still don't know much after week two. Like we have a kind of an identity, but teams change throughout the season, especially in the latter part of the season. So,
And then one thing, Jalen Hurts still pretty sloppy with the ball, luckily they escaped with the win, but he did throw 2 interceptions. He's going to have to
I
clean that
think
up.
the Packers secondary though is better than I anticipated it
Oh,
being
yeah.
for sure. And look, you're able to get 2 sacks and 7 TFLs in this game. Like that's a pretty solid job of getting into the backfield and forcing pressure. So
Yeah.
that's definitely something to look at if you're the Green Bay Packers against a pretty good Eagles O line too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That probably still one of the top 5 offensive lines in the
For
NFL
sure.
easily.
And you know what? Coming into the season, and we heard this last week, I wasn't very high on this Packers defense. And you know what? Maybe I'll bite it. They still allowed 34 points, but we'll see. We'll see on a normal field. We'll see in
Yeah.
Lambeau. We'll see in Soldier. We'll see across their
So
schedule.
speaking of, overreactions week one, let's move on to another head scratcher here in the Bengals and Patriots game. Kind of a weird game.
Yeah, I watched this one and I'm like, I just didn't see anything like impressive
The
going.
Patriots won with a lone touchdown by Ramondre Stevenson.
Dude, he actually played really well for
and
how Stevenson.
Stevenson's a good back, dude. He really
Yeah,
is.
he had a down year last year in terms of fantasy wise, and I think there was some sort of injury problem, and they just weren't able to get him the ball that much. But like, I don't know, dude. I was just so confused watching this game. I thought it was just 2 teams playing really bad football, and that's all I really have to say about it. Like the Bengals just looked so out of sync. Joe Burrow did not look on.
Well, Joe Burrow also he got sacked again 3 times. He's still running for his life, so the offensive line still isn't there. And let me tell you something about the Bengals this year. They're really going to miss Joe Mixon because that run game. I mean, Zach Moss is a serviceable number 2 running back, not your number 1 running back. And then
I think they should go more Chase Brown, though. Chase Brown can be a running back one,
Yeah.
in my opinion. He has the potential to be. Is he there right now? No. But you know how you get someone to be there? You give them experience. It's like prepping someone for a job that they have no experience in. Like you're not gonna you gotta learn by being in it.
And the Bengals were also super limited with T. Higgins being out and
Yeah.
Jamar Chase being your only
And he
threat.
hasn't
You know what I mean?
practiced with, and I know there's the LSU connection, and yeah, he was his most targeted receiver, tied with Andre Icevis. But you know what? They fumbled the ball twice. You got to take care of the football in games like this, or they're going to get away from you, man. And the NFL, it's really important to win those hidden yardage battles and win the turnover battle.
And it's a quick turnaround for the Bengals because now they're going to Arrowhead to play the Chiefs. So I mean,
They'll be fine, dude.
they'll have to figure. They had a rough season opener last year too.
They've had rough season openers since Joe Burrow's been in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Like, I'm talking to my one buddy's a really good Bengals fan, or he's a pretty big Bengals fan. He just taught like the year Joe Burrow threw 4 interceptions. I'm like, dude, is he cooked? And you know what? He ended up being pretty fine that season. So
Yeah, they'll be okay. You're gonna figure out a lot more in week 2, like we said at the top. You know what I mean?
it's
Let's not
also
get too
like,
carried away.
man, everyone has some sort of roster turnover in the NFL between cuts and draft picks and whatnot. Like, obviously, yes, that happens at all levels of football, but I think in the NFL, it's a little bit more because everyone's at the same level. You just have to find the guys that fit in the right scheme and go in the right packages and personnel. And when you're not able to identify that in the preseason through training camp and whatnot, you're probably going to go out there and be a little rough in week 1.
I think the offenses are still trying to catch up with the defense also because they don't get much time on task in the preseason anymore.
No, for sure not.
Because of injury, you know what I mean? And rightfully so. I mean, if I'm paying a guy that, millions and millions of dollars, I probably don't want to see him, blowing
be out
or
half the
something
season,
either.
right? Yeah.
Right.
So, no,
Yeah,
I
so
appreciate that.
kind of bizarre, this game. I mean, shout out to Gerard Mayo getting his first win as the Patriots
You know
head
what?
coach.
You know what I really saw in this game? I saw a very well coached team on the Patriot side. I
Mhm.
saw Bengals with the lack of discipline and attention to detail. And if you remember, I said this about Notre Dame and Northern Illinois on Saturday. And I kind of see the same thing here. Just the Patriots looked like they wanted it a lot more.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. All right. Well, speaking about wanting it a lot more, let's move on to the Bills and Cardinals. Also, kind of a crazy game.
This one
But
was, I think I like things from both sides.
Well, it's kind of weird. So the Bills were down 17-0 in the first half,
Right. Yeah. Cardinals took a huge lead in this game.
and Josh Allen, man, he took that team on his back, dude, and he got it done. 4 total touchdowns, 2 through the air, 2 on the ground. I mean,
Dude, Josh Allen might be. I mean, there's no one better than Patrick Mahomes right now in the league, no matter what crazy take you want to put out there. Like, I'm sorry, the dude's won freaking 3 Super Bowls,
Yep.
2 of 2 right now. I don't know if they're going to be back on their way this year. We'll see throughout the season, but Josh Allen might be the second best quarterback, man, in the league. I know he started out rough last year and wasn't great statistically, but dude, like, if the Bills didn't have Josh Allen playing at the level as he does, and I guess you could say this about any great quarterback,
Right.
this Bills team would probably be 3-14.
Oh yeah. I mean,
No joke.
He took that team on his back and willed them to victory. And he doesn't really have a receiving core to even speak of. I mean, I think Keon Coleman led the way with 4 receptions in that game. You know what I mean? So it's gonna take a little minute for him to gel with these new receivers that he has.
Yeah, I mean, they still looked good. Keon Coleman kind of impressed me in this game. He came up with a big catch. I mean, there's just a lot of distribution, and then it's gonna take time to find those guys, man, for Josh Allen. On the flip side, I thought Kyler Murray actually played pretty decent.
Are they gonna? But I mean, 3 targets for Harrison Jr., 1 catch for 4 yards. I mean, they got to get Marvin Harrison involved into the game.
I don't think they want. The problem is, yes, Marvin Harrison was a very high draft pick and was one of the most complete receivers in college. I completely understand that, but the NFL, it's a little different for receivers, man. There's a lot more complexity and a lot more difficulty understanding the playbooks. And I know at Ohio State and that sort of offense, man, he probably wasn't doing really hard, difficult play calls and running these creative routes. Like Marvin Harrison, they were just like, dude, you know what? Run a dig route, you'll get open. Run a go route, you'll get open. Run a comeback route, you'll get open. Like there wasn't much complexity to the play calls. And if you've watched the quarterback series on Netflix, you'll kind of understand. Like, and then watch Johnny Manziel documentary with Cliff Kingsbury at Texas A&M. Like, there's just a difference in play calling and getting up to speed, which is why you see quarterbacks struggle in week 1. But Marvin's going to be fine, man. He's a hell of an athlete. He can play football. He's got to understand the playbook. And also, I mean, Kyler Murray. There's a reason why there's no big wide receiver one in Arizona that stays. Because he's not necessarily at best at targeting one guy, and he wants to get outside, so he's going to throw it to the nearest guy on him after he gets outside the pocket, not necessarily sit in the pocket and look at his initial read. So that's kind of what I read from this
I
game.
mean, and then down the stretch there, Arizona's trying to make a comeback, and there's one play where Marvin Harrison's streaking down the sideline by himself, and Kyler Murray takes the dump off down low, and it's an incomplete pass. But
Right.
he didn't throw his hands up and complain like a diva. He just ran back to the huddle. But I mean, there was nobody within 20 yards of him. I mean, that's just bad vision by your quarterback. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, I mean, yeah, he'll be fine, but this is all overreaction stuff. But
Right, exactly. And you know
he
what?
needs 10
I
targets.
was impressed going out of this game.
Yeah.
With both of these teams. Both of them played a really good game. Defensively, there might be some questions to answer on both sides. But like I said, it's week 1, man. There's going to be some high scoring games. There's going to be some games that are going to end in a total of 20s. That's just how the NFL operates, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, speaking of operating, we had an arrest in Miami, which is taking all the.
Before we go into this game, and we'll post the score up. What do we make of this situation, dude? Because from what
I
I'm
mean,
seeing, I think
go ahead.
it's
Give your
just
thoughts.
cool. I think it's staged. Can I
Really?
be completely honest? That or the NFL cop saw it was Tyreek Hill, and I don't know if Tyreek has tinted windows or not. Might need to invest in that. And I know he was speeding too, but I think it was a little exaggerated. I think he's going against Tyreek Hill week 1 fantasy, dude. And honestly, it ended up being a mistake for him because Tyreek probably played with a little bit more motivation than
Yeah.
he would have. No, honestly, it's kind of messed up. I think definitely the situation was over exaggerated. It should have just been probably a simple speeding ticket. I know Tyreek Hill has some crazy allegations and stuff against his name that probably, isn't great in the public spotlight, but you know what? He's a great football player. His interview after was hilarious. I don't know if you watched that.
No, actually just witnessed. I seen the body cam footage today from a
Okay.
police officer,
I haven't really looked at anything yet. I've
and
had a busy day, so
it was kind of like, hey, roll your window down, and he, just give me my ticket, let me go. Rolled his window up,
yeah,
and then
I saw a little bit of clips
the
from that.
officers kind of they moved him out of the car, and the whole time he's telling his teammates are pulling up, and he's telling his teammates call Drew, Drew Rosenhaus, his agent. You knew he was going to get it. I don't even know if they took him in. I think he may have just paid a fine on the spot and then let
Right, or
go.
they were just like pay your bond fee and
But whatever, man. That's all drama. Obviously, we
you
have
know
to talk
what though?
about it.
It's great for social media pages, man, because they get to post that content and you know what? It goes viral. So because people
Yeah,
are like, what's happening with Tyreek Hill? When I saw the report in the morning, I'm like, yeah, okay, football's back. Okay, also, what is up with football players and not being able to drive? We have Rashee Rice, right?
right.
We have Jordan Addison. We have what's his face? We have Jordan Addison. We have the whole Georgia team in general. We have Ollie Gordon. There's so many players across the NFL that just can't drive. Did
Yeah,
not mean to show that comment. Okay. But yeah, so Justin's gonna step out for a minute. I'm gonna continue talking. What I saw from this game was, you know what, Trevor Lawrence. I thought he might be back into prime form position, and he isn't. He isn't there yet. Not being able to really be effective running the ground game. I think Bigsby played all right. Christian Kirk, you sold me in fantasy, buddy. I'm sorry. Evan Ingram, you also sold me in fantasy. No, I think from the Dolphins side, I think the passing attack's still going to be good. I think your running game's going to come alive eventually. You got Devon Achane, you got Raheem Mostert, you got Jeff Wilson. you'll be fine, bro. You'll be fine. You'll be able to find some running lanes after teams over adjust and start playing in some nickel formations to really, get that wide receiver room under control. You obviously have Tyreek and Waddle, one of the best 1-2 combinations. Yeah, man, I don't think there's too much to this game. Once again, I think the defense played actually pretty fine in this game. Dolphins were able to get 3 sacks while, you know what, 8 TFLs and 3 sacks from the Jags as well. I think both teams played all right. I don't know. I'm not the only the takeaway I come from this game from Miami and the Jags. Yeah, man. I don't see Trevor Lawrence having a big season at all. I'm kind of selling stock in him. If currently what his value is at, it's probably low on the market. You might as well get as much as you can out of him because Jacksonville might be looking for a quarterback in the 2025 draft. And it sucks because I think Trevor Lawrence still think he has all the potential in the world. I think he's kind of in a system that really doesn't operate well. But Brian Thomas came up with a nice touchdown grab. So, Justin, just want to let you know you're on mute. You're good? Okay. Yeah, nothing really other to say in that game. So we will, as I pull up something real quick, we will go to the Cowboys and Browns. We'll get Justin's thoughts real quick on that game, but he's attending to some other matters, which is all right because you know what? Sometimes things are a little bit more important in life. But yeah, I watched this game a little bit more intently. Was not impressed with Deshaun Watson at all. Granted, he was under pressure a lot in this game. I honestly don't think the Browns receiving room is really good because Mari Cooper dropped a pretty crucial touchdown in the game. I was like, man, dude, you've been an experienced receiver in the league for so long and you're dropping that. None of them were really able to get open. Granted, Deshaun wasn't able to pass the most accurately. I think Jerome Ford had a couple nice runs in this game, but obviously the absence of Nick Chubb, it shows in this team because they were building around for him to be kind of the lead focal point on offense for the Cleveland Browns, and he's not that. I still think defensively, even though the Browns allowed 33 points, dude, they were on the field so much in that game, and the Cowboys were able to get such good field position. It's kind of hard to, not like, and if you look at the total yards, man, the Cowboys only had 263 total yards. It's not like they were driving down the field every play. They were just able to take advantage of the opportunity that they had. Dak looked all right. He played solid. He did what he had to do. He's now the 6th highest paid quarterback this season.
Yeah.
So,
well,
did you have any takeaways from the Jags Dolphins game really quickly?
I think the offense for Jacksonville is going to struggle this year.
Yeah.
Ingram's solid. He's a good tight end, but an ETN obviously is a weapon. But man, that receiving, Christian Kirk, he's kind of a Robin. I don't know if he's a Batman. You know what I mean? Brian Thomas is going to take a little bit. And they just paid Lawrence a bunch of money, top 5 quarterback money. My hot take from that, Trevor Lawrence isn't a top 5 quarterback in my opinion. I'm not very high on the Jags. I'm not really high on Miami either. Waddle and Hill, they're going to go out and they're going to give you 100 yards a game.
Right.
But they've shown no sustainability, and they've shown that they can't win in the playoffs. So I'm not really high on either of these teams. That's why I kind of wanted to talk about them to bring up the Tyreek Hill stuff. He's going to get his yards in the regular season.
Right.
Their defense actually played well, though, so.
Yeah, I think both defenses, obviously the secondary for the Jags was shaky, which, it happens. Obviously Jalen Ramsey's on the Dolphins and not on the Jags, where he started his career. But no, I don't know. Is Jacksonville gonna move on from Trevor Lawrence? Because I'm kind of reading a Carson Wentz situation here, where
No.
very highly touted quarterback, played pretty well in the beginning of his career, and has kind of struggled with some injury issues along the way with it.
I mean, at the same time, though, like,
Because Carson Wentz got extended heavily
if I
after.
told you that going into this year that your two main receivers were going to be the rookie from LSU, Brian Thomas, and Christian Kirk,
But those are still both
would,
like
would you be
good.
okay with that? I mean,
Yeah.
as a Lions fan, we got J-Mo and Amon-Ra St. Brown. I mean, one of those things isn't like the
And
other.
they have
They're kind of
Evan
miles
Ingram.
apart.
I think Evan Ingram too. Like I think that they have a solid enough receiving core. I don't think
Yeah.
that's the problem.
I think Trevor Lawrence is a good quarterback. I don't think he's going to be great, but I don't see him
He's
putting
still
a team on his back. Josh
He's
Allen.
got drafted in 2021.
Yeah.
So I mean, this is his third year in the NFL, man. I mean,
Yeah.
might be year 4 or year 5. He might be one of those later developing guys. You just don't know.
Yeah. I mean, he was kind of thrown into a bad situation.
Yeah, he was thrown into like year one. I thought Trevor
I don't even know if
Lawrence.
I count his rookie year with Urban Meyer.
Right. Yeah, I guess this is his 4th season because I forget the drafts work differently in like every single sport. But you know what? Still, he looked really good in year 2. Last year, I don't know how much of it was his fault. And
He started out okay last year, and then they kind of took a skid as a team.
I'm pretty sure he had some injury concern last year, though.
They were good in the beginning of the year last year. They were a playoff team, and it slipped away from them, man. They pretty much crapped the bed. I want to say they were 6-2 last year to start.
Yeah, and they ended up not even being in the
They came out the gates pretty hot. Ridley was, he was Lawrence's go-to guy.
Now he's on the Titans. So.
Now he's on the Titans. And
probably Calvin Ridley's probably one of the most underrated receivers in the NFL. No one ever talks about him, but he's a playmaker.
Well, he was really, really good in Atlanta, and then he got that gambling incident.
But you could just have a million sexual assault charges, or a drive at a freaking dangerous speed and hit and run. Just doesn't matter. But if you go on FanDuel, which we'd like a sponsorship, by the way.
Yeah,
it just doesn't make any sense to me. And I blame the people at the top. I think this is the same problem with other leagues like the NBA. NBA is a little bit better with cracking down on people like Ja Morant, like Kevin Porter Jr., Miles Bridges. Like they do a really good job of getting these guys the punishments they deserve. The NCAA is terrible. MLB, I don't think necessarily has too much scandals going on. I mean, the Wander Franco situation, obviously that was a little bit different and kind of messed up. I guess the NBA didn't take care of Josh Giddey.
Well, the NBA or the NBA,
but for the most part, when it comes to like assault and like that sort of nature, and because they care about their image so bad in the NBA, because they have a lot of their main attractions, this young audience with a bunch of these superstars. Because a lot of old heads like you, I know you don't watch the NBA at all. No. And that's probably because the Pistons suck. But like all these national superstars and players like Steph Curry and all these new influences on the game that have changed it from what it was 10 years ago when Steph Curry just started in Golden State. That was kind of the era where everything started to just be different in the NBA. And there wasn't as much pick and rolls, and it was more freelance motions, and defense didn't matter as much in the regular season. But
before we get too far off the rails, let's get back into this Cowboys-Browns game a little bit. I wanted to talk about this game just a little bit. Cowboys-Browns. Deshaun Watson, man.
Dude, he was getting pressured all game though. I get he did not make great throws.
But he stinks, dude. He is not Deshaun Watson that there was in Houston. I mean, the Browns.
I don't think we're gonna get you take a year off football though. You're not gonna be like
Yeah, but dude, you just signed the highest guaranteed contract. I mean, if you're coming back and you're taking a year off football and you're Joe Flacco, yeah, cool, I get it, man. Hey, I get it. But dude, you signed the biggest guaranteed contract in NFL history. You ain't got time, dude. I'm paying you all this money. You got to go perform, man. And
Right.
they've been better without him. I mean, they were better off bringing Flacco off the streets last year.
Well, Flacco, I think Indianapolis doesn't believe in Anthony Richardson. I know we're not going to get into that game, but dude, if you watch how he runs the ball, bro, he wants to
That bomb.
he just wants to get CTE, bro. I swear.
And the Browns defense only gave up 265 total yards to the
Right?
Cowboys.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what I said. I said the Cowboys really didn't even play that great of an offensive
And the
game.
Cowboys have their own troubles, man. Like if they
No,
think,
their defensive line was amazing.
but if they think that Zeke Elliott off the scrap heap's going to help their run game,
they clearly need a trade for a running back.
Yeah, they're going to have to strike gold with a waiver wire claim or something, because I'm telling you right now,
I think you should trade for a running back that's just in a terrible situation. Like if you can even get like an Alexander Madison, which he played pretty well in week 1.
Jerry Jones has some sick infatuation with Zeke Elliott, dude. This has been going on for years.
I mean, Zeke was an amazing player when he first came into the league, but
yeah,
I get he's 5 years removed from what
running back shelf lives are pretty small now.
Yeah, I mean, they kept Adrian Peterson in the league for a long time, but
yeah, I don't know, man.
But yeah, I think the story of this game was Cowboys just were able to get pressure. They kind of played like Iowa with an offense. Play good defense, get in good field position, and have your offense really not have to do all that much.
And then Aubrey,
oh my God, I thought they were going to try the 71-yard field goal. I was really hoping for it.
Dude, that guy's got – it's like these kickers – like he came from the USFL,
right.
And now we have Jake Bates for the Lions. Like,
right.
Dude,
which
spring league
get into in a second.
Yeah, that's a good transition. This spring league is really producing some great kickers. And speaking of, let's move on to the Lions and Rams. Let's beat the dead horse here a little bit. Let's go with your thoughts first.
My thoughts. The Lions, I'm scared when they play good tackles because Aiden Hutchinson, there was a clear difference when that Georgia kid was on the offensive line and when that Michigan State kid, which kind of sucks to say, was on the offensive line. I don't know because they don't really get any much other pass rush. I know Davenport got in there like once or twice, but dude, he'll probably be out by week 4 anyways. And I don't think he's really the player he was in New Orleans. I think secondary wise, they obviously didn't play perfect in this game, but you also have to realize Matthew Stafford's one of the most experienced quarterbacks and makes some crazy plays inside the pocket. Obviously, having Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua for half of this game, and that Robinson kid played pretty well for him too when Nacua went down. They did a really good job of scheming some stuff up, but the Lions secondary still played fine. I liked what they did offensively. J-Mo broke out. Can he keep it up? I don't know. I think they just kind of planned on Amon-Ra being the main feature in this game. And the Lions kind of showed they can work without it. Obviously, it wasn't a perfectly executed game plan. You still got some problems. But I think them just going bully ball in overtime and just absolutely dominating them on the ground really shows just the versatility and the capability on levels in the passing and running game that you're just like, oh, shoot, dude, when this team is in it, who's going to stop them?
Yeah, I think there's a lot being made of the Lions not getting home against a patchwork Rams offensive line. I mean, if you look at all the play calls, it's 1-2 and the ball's gone. You know what I mean? Like,
right? Yeah, no, dude, they did shout out to the Rams coaching staff. Sean McVay is a master.
Well, if you look at those Shanahan offenses around the league, the Shanahan tree,
right? It kind of eliminates.
Look at Mike McDaniel for the Dolphins. Look at obviously Kyle Shanahan. You know what I mean? Look at LaFleur in Green Bay.
It doesn't need to be a bunch of complicated.
It's all a bunch of motion and deception and trying to find the matchups and trying to get the pre-snap read. And
this is just how advanced NFL coaching has gotten. There's a clear difference in between how NFL offenses are called in terms of how plays are developed and college offenses. I think college is a little bit more entertaining because there's just a variance and skill gap and upsets are crazy and whatnot.
Right.
But in terms of actual play calls and actual quality of player in the NFL, like, dude, if you're a good coach and you at least have a top half league or a top half team, which I believe what the Rams are in the league, man, dude, you'll be able to
They
get
were
some nice
literally
stuff.
scheming Cooper Cup open. It was, I mean, there was no.
You want to hear my big
Well,
problem
hold
with
on.
the Lions?
Let me talk for a minute.
Yeah,
Let me
talk for
talk
a
about
minute.
the game. All right, I can. They're bringing him in these motions and all this deception. There is no jam on the line. This guy's basically 5 yards downfield, and he's hit 14 catches on 21 targets. I mean, it's hard to stop that kind of stuff. And McVay, he knew he was short on the offensive line coming into the game, and McVay's one of the smartest guys in the NFL, obviously. You know what I mean? So I'm not gonna put a whole bunch of merit in. Oh, we should have had 5-6 sacks. It is what it is, dude. It's hike 1-2 and the ball's out, man.
And these teams play with the Rams. Last game was against the Lions. It's not like this was like they've obviously they had a lot of tape from the game last year. The coaching staffs on both sides really didn't change all that much. A lot of the same roster. Like, I think you're able to prepare for this game. Obviously, Lions have a new look secondary, but your secondary ain't going to look perfect in week one, especially with Melifonwu out, the best Lions safety on the team.
Yeah.
Which Kirby Joseph did have a really nice pick in the red zone, which I was like, oh my gosh, I thought that was a turning point in the game, but ended up still being close down to the wire.
And Branch he's transitioning back to safety. He played a lot more nickel last
Dude, you
year.
can put Branch at freaking outside corner, slot corner, safety. He's one of those plug and play guys that he just has the build and the athleticism to really play wherever.
It makes you wonder how he sat in the green room and wasn't drafted
right
on day one.
It's because that Bama secondary has just always been super loaded, and Jordan Battle was in that class, and he was a highly touted guy. You had Kool-Aid and Terrion Arnold also at the Bama, so they're like, really, how much impact does this Brian Branch kid have? Yeah. It turns out he has a lot, dude. He was also on that defense with Will Anderson too. So,
and on the offensive side for the Lions, I mean, they have so many weapons, dude. Like, I'm not going to put anything in like Laporta and St. Brown having like slow week ones because it could very well be their week next week. I am encouraged and happy to see JMO have a big game now.
Yeah, no, I'm glad I proved myself wrong, and maybe I just got to do that more for teams I like. Because I said, what does a JMO breakout look like? Is he 1,000-yard receiver? Well, he's only needs 880 more yards on the season to get there.
Yeah,
I think we're just gonna see complete games from the receiving core. I think we're going to see some guys step up. I think we're going to see the ground game featured in a lot of games as well. Like, there's so much, like I said, the creativity you can have with this Lion offense and the versatility you have, especially with the offensive line and being able to be athletic and go block outside and just play smash mouth, HB smash, HB dive, power O, like all of these plays that you have. It makes this team really interesting to watch because you're like, you might see a new team every week. Now, obviously, they're going to find some self-identity, but
yeah. So, I mean, that's really all I got on that one. I mean, we got one more NFL game we're going to talk about. It was a game last night, Jets and 49ers.
I'm going to be completely honest. I didn't watch much of this game.
First takeaway for me in that game, I watched the whole game. 49ers pretty much ate up the time of possession. It was a 17-minute difference. Jordan Mason, 28 carries for 147. I mean, he killed them, dude. CMC was out, and they had a game plan, and not a lot of people throw very well against the Jets with Sauce Gardner, and they ran Mason right down his throat, and they ran it to success. And Purdy also made a lot of timely throws when he had to, and Sauce Gardner went out in the second half, and the Jets secondary looks like a completely different secondary without Sauce.
I mean, Sauce is like the next thing compared to like a Jalen Ramsey, Darrelle Revis, like one of those just true lockdown corners. Like, and we kind of knew that coming into the league that he's just going to be one of those guys just because of his skill set.
Yeah.
But I watched it back a little bit today. I'm not impressed with Rodgers. He's old, man. I don't think people realize, bro. He is not the player he was 4 years ago, man.
I would never say that Rodgers was Lamar Jackson by any means, but he had enough mobility to
Right.
like.
No, like I compare him to, well, maybe this isn't the greatest comparison. Like Kirk Cousins' mobility, like being able
Yeah,
to move around and
and make plays.
readjust.
I
Yeah.
don't see that. I don't see that
No,
with
I
him
don't
anymore.
either. Yeah, man. I mean, he's what, 38, 39? Like
Yeah.
he's already hit unk status, bro. He's gonna be a grandpa in like a couple
I
of
mean, but
years.
he
So.
at the same time though, he can still zip it, dude.
Oh yeah, no, he's for sure got a great arm, but how
Yeah.
much when you have to make when you're limited to the type of throws you can make and being off platform and being able to readjust in the pocket, like the timingness in the NFL is so important. And for him just being a step behind where he used to be, which he's still okay, he's still a good quarterback. It's not like he's awful,
Right.
but it's just like, are you going to be able to win a championship with Aaron Rodgers where he currently is? I don't know. And I don't know if you're doing it with this roster either, if I'm being completely honest. But say we put Aaron Rodgers on X team that's a Super Bowl contender. Does Aaron Rodgers improve or disimprove your team?
I mean, he's dude. I was watching the game and he can still make some throws, man. Like if you can put him behind the good offensive line, like let's say if he
Yeah,
was
I
in,
think that's a little
let's
bit of a thing too.
well let me say this. Let me say if he was in Philly and he was standing behind that offensive line with AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, and Saquon Barkley, I think he could win a championship with a
I
team
think
like
a
that.
lot of quarterbacks
You
can.
put him in San Francisco, I think he can win a championship with a team like that.
I
Uh,
think he could with the Lions. Obviously, I don't want him, but
No, but I mean, like watching the quality of throw that he was actually making in that game, like his arm is still
like,
he's still got one of the livest arms in
yeah.
the NFL.
Like I said, I didn't really pay too much attention to this game yesterday. My interest wasn't there. I'm not a big, I just don't believe in the Jets. And yeah, that's really all it is.
Yeah. Well, you want to move on and you want to talk about
Yes, yes. So this is what I want to get into. The AP top 25. Me and Justin, we're not going to go through the whole entire list. Obviously, that's why you can see it on the bottom of your screen. But I'm going to remove it for a second because make sure you follow us on socials on X, Instagram, and TikTok at Fourth and Goal Pod. The AP Top 25. I think first things first. I think Texas above Ohio State. I don't know if I like it because Ohio State's damn near looked impossible, but Texas also got a pretty good win against the team that Ohio State hasn't been able to beat in 3 years. Obviously, is it the same roster construction as it's been recently? No, it hasn't. Think Ole Miss and Missouri. I don't know if I like them in the top 6, bro. I'm gonna be completely honest. I think Tennessee. I don't know if I like Bama at 4 either. I think Tennessee's better than these teams from what they've been able to show. And the thing I love about that NC State game, and I went through some of the stats and rewatched some of the highlights because I'm a nerd.
yeah.
Nico didn't play great, bro. Like he really didn't, and they still beat NC State. Like I know NC State's. I don't think they're a top 25 team, but they're a top 50, top 45 team. Like they're gonna be still pretty solid in ACC play and be a hard team to game prep for unless you're Miami. I think Tennessee did a really good job of just showing that they're not just this quarterback driven team. They have players in the secondary. They have pass rush. They have a little bit of a running game with Sampson as well. That's something that I really liked seeing from Tennessee. Miami should be above Oregon and Penn State, man. Be
Yeah.
honest.
Well,
Justin, give me some of your thoughts because I feel like I'm rambling a little bit.
we did our own polls and
We'll
get
get
to that.
let's go through the AP
Well,
top 25.
I'm going to do my takeaways with the top 25. Obviously NIU slipped in the top 25, which was awesome to see because for one, I hate Notre Dame and I always root for the small guys when they play the bigger schools. And it was awesome to see the emotion after the game. Nebraska slipped in at top. I think they're at 23 and
But they look the part of a top 25 team.
they
That's the
do.
thing.
And I think with each game,
I mean, but
I'm
Nebraska, before you continue, Nebraska would have been a top 25 team last year if Dylan Raiola was their quarterback.
right. Well, that's what I'm trying to get to. So Raiola is with each game he plays, he's just going to get better and better. I'm kind of a little weirded out by like the Patrick Mahomes stuff. I think
but that's
I think
just
he's
that's
kind of
so media driven, and it is because he
he's
wears the number 15. He has curly
fanboying. I
hair.
mean, dude, he's wearing his wristbands and doing his pregame rituals. It's
Hey, you
weird,
know what?
dude.
It's gonna get
It's
him
weird,
publicity,
bro.
bro. He's gonna get NIL. He's gonna be
It's
in a State
weird,
Farm.
bro.
He's gonna be in a State Farm commercial.
All
Like
right.
it's perfect advertising
All
money.
right, moving on. So yeah, Iowa State with their comeback win against Iowa, they jump into the top 25. They're at 22.
21.
I got a couple more takeaways here, and I'll let you ramble on. Notre Dame and Michigan fall 17 and 18, rightfully so. I mean, Notre Dame probably you could make an argument that they should be out of the top 25 after a loss like that, but they're going to keep them in there close because of playoffs and because of money implications. Tennessee made the biggest jump, 7 spots from 14 to 7.
They should have been higher.
Rightfully so. I think Tennessee is very good, and we'll talk about them a little bit later. Texas jumped Ohio State for the number 2 spot. I think obviously the most impressive win to date right now. The win it might not be that big of a win depending on what Michigan does. And my last
Not the
takeaway,
most impressive win of the season.
my last takeaway from the AP top 25. Here we are again, 6 of the top 10 SEC.
Yeah. I'm gonna restate everything I said. So here's your in point, Justin. So Texas jumps Ohio State number 2 to 3. I like the move. I think Texas obviously showed some domination, and Texas could have beat Michigan by a lot more points than they actually did. Like that game wasn't as close. If you're a box score watcher like Andrew, you probably think, oh, Michigan actually played decent. Bro. No, they didn't. Alabama shouldn't be at 4. Ole Miss shouldn't be at 5. Missouri shouldn't be at 6. Move them all 1 down. Maybe switch the order a little bit and put Tennessee at 4, man. They deserve it. They've looked pretty much unstoppable through their first 2 weeks. Penn State and Oregon at 8 and 9. I think you flip Miami above them. Miami looked good this week. They looked really good in that win versus Florida. And shout out to Florida because DJ Lagway guy looks pretty good and looks like he could be a future. And keep Billy Napier, maybe his job. I like USC at 11, man. I think this team's really good. They held Utah State to a goose egg.
Yeah,
like that doesn't happen when you're USC. You allow 21 points in that game typically. Yeah. I'm really impressed. With how they are. Oklahoma State shouldn't be 13. They did not play good against Arkansas. Arkansas lost that game. Oklahoma State just kind of got lucky and were the recipients of playing Arkansas week 2, and Sam Pittman shouldn't even be their head coach. So I guess that moves you up 3 spots in the AP poll because people don't actually watch games. They just look at the box score and they're like, oh yeah, Oklahoma State played good. Oh, we'll move them up 3 spots.
No.
Oklahoma should have dropped.
Yeah, they're
be honest about that. You put teams like Louisville up there. You could put LSU probably higher than them as well. Michigan, I'm fine when where they're at. I think they still deserve to be a top 25 team. I think defensively they're going to beat most teams in the top 25 just because offensive lines can't compete. Louisville at 19, man. I love it. You know I'm going to love it. I don't think Arizona is a top 25 team, to be honest. I don't.
No.
They've looked really bad against inferior competition, and I don't think Kansas State. I don't think they're going to compete with Kansas State, if I'm being honest. And then to round it out, I'm glad Clemson's ranked. They looked really good against Appalachian State. I'm excited to see what Boston College does in 2 weeks against Michigan State, man, because I think that's going to be a really important matchup. They got to go to Missouri this week. So that'll obviously draw in some TV ratings for that because, top 25 matchup. And I'm happy to see NIU, man. Obviously, they're probably not a top 25 team, but they deserve to be up there. They got a huge win in a huge, tough environment, man. So
yeah, I mean, when you win a top 10 road game, then you're going to get the nod. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so that was my rambling session of the AP Top 25. Obviously, me and Justin have some similarities of an opinion. Also, Boise State should be a top 25 team. How are they not, bro? I know it's just because of Ashton GT, bro. You put Ashton GT on a team like Georgia, bro, they won't lose a fucking game. I'm sorry. I don't mean to curse too much on the show, but being dead ass, or you put him on Texas, or he doesn't need to go to Ohio State. That would just kind of be stupid.
Yeah, I was going to say they already got enough.
Well, like a Tennessee, bro, or like a USC, you're like, dude, that would be disgusting. Let's take a look at the 4th and goal poll. So me, Justin, and Andrew, they sent their polls to me. I made my own, and we'll go through and discuss where the polls don't align as much as some of our ballots. At 1, got Georgia, 2, Texas, 3, Ohio State, 4, Ole Miss, 5, Tennessee, 6, Miami, 7, Missouri, 8, USC, 9, Alabama, 10, Oregon, 11, Utah, and 12, Penn State. Justin, I'm going to leave the poll up when you're talking, but let me know what do you really agree with on this poll, and what do you not agree with so much?
Well, first of all, I had Nebraska in my top 12 that I submitted to you. Like I said, I think they're pretty impressive on defense. I mean, they got after Shador, which isn't saying much because most people do against Colorado's offensive line.
Right.
So I would probably move Utah in there. I don't know who you really take out. It's tough, man. But
I think this is a perfect top 12 right now.
yeah, and then like Penn State, a combination of Bazelak and Harold Fannin combined for 100.
Like Bowling Green,
11 receptions
Bowling
for
Green should win the
137.
MAC. Yeah, Bowling Green should win the MAC for sure.
Yeah, I hope so. But yeah, and then Oregon, they kind of escaped Boise. We talked about Ashton Genty. The guy's a dog. He made Oregon's defense look pretty silly, and they barely got out of there.
You know what? If Utah would have not had Cam Rising go out, and I would have had more confidence in him, I would have ranked him above Oregon.
And the team that I'm staring right in the face right now, and I'm thinking maybe fraud alert, is Missouri, because they haven't given up a touchdown against Murray State or Buffalo, but
it's Murray State and Buffalo, bro.
Brady Cook has also only thrown 1 touchdown. You know what I mean?
I've told you, bro, that Brady Cook's not good. I'm going to be completely honest. I don't think he elevates. And I want to take the poll down and then talk a little bit about my stuff. But wow, me and Justin are rambling back and forth about the most average quarterback in probably college football.
Yeah,
I don't think he's very good. I don't think he does anything necessarily wrong. I just don't think he does anything necessarily good. Like, there's nothing I see. Like, is short accuracy, yeah, but like, is that the best quality you want in a quarterback? Maybe if Kyle Shanahan's your coach, but
yeah,
not in the SEC, bro, where you're gonna have to make those throws. And there's a reason why Missouri was a pretty good team last year, but they just couldn't get it done in those big games because they don't have the quarterback that can elevate them into it. And it's not like Brady Cook's got to be this, all combine draft prospect that's got to be number 1 on the charts. No, he just has to be good at something. Brady Cook's not.
Yeah, and the competition's not very solid, bro. And I would like to see more out of him through the air.
You know what I could see though? They don't want to show much on film versus these teams, and they might try and say, "Oh, we're gonna unleash Brady Cook this week," but a lot of returning production from last year in terms of receiving in the passing game, not necessarily in the running game, but you kind of know what you're going to get with this team. Luther Burden, Theo Weiss, and the rest of that receiving core is going to be really good. I'm just not a big Brady Cook guy. He's been starting for what, 3? This is his 3rd season.
Yeah,
I haven't seen much difference between years 1, 2, and 3.
And then moving up a little bit, I actually personally put Ole Miss behind Bama at 5. They haven't really played anybody in their next 4 opponents.
You had Bama at 4 in your poll, right?
Yeah, and the next four opponents, they have Wake Forest, Georgia Southern, Kentucky, and South Carolina. So
yeah, Ole Miss doesn't really. South Carolina, bro, they might be a little. I don't know.
I think you were drinking at the game because no,
they actually played a pretty good second half. They started really terrible in that game, but once Lenore Sellers came back in and handled the offense a little bit, I saw some stuff where I don't think South Carolina is going to be a top 25 team, but I think they can compete in
with
some certain games. I don't know, maybe not Ole Miss, but maybe God, who's not in that first tier? Like Oklahoma, I think.
Ole Miss has the next 4 games cakewalks. They're going to have a little bit of a
Kentucky, Georgia Southern, and Wake Forest should all cover the spread.
They got LSU coming up pretty good, and Like Bama,
But
another thing. Like,
how good is LSU? Like,
I
let's be
mean, but it's
honest
still
here.
a quality SEC opponent, and I think that game's on the road for them. So,
Or the media just really wants you to think that.
and then like Bama, I mean, yeah, they struggled against South Florida, but I think they found something with Jamarian Miller. They started getting him the ball, and he was ripping them off.
Don't say Jamarian again. Please just see Jam Miller. You threw me off with that. Calling him by his government. No, dude. I mean, my poll I think looks a little. Where'd you have Tennessee in yours?
I had Tennessee at 7.
7. Okay. So yeah, I mean,
behind Miami and Ole Miss.
yeah. So I'm gonna bring this back up a little bit. I had Tennessee at 4 personally. I think I did mine more on a power ratings scale, and I think after Tennessee played their game against NC State, like they look like the 4th best team in the country as of now, as of the week 2 reaction. Yeah, I really like Miami this year, bro. I really do think they're gonna be legit. This poll really matches up with mine. There's not too much differences. And then for Andrew's ballot, I'll read it out really quickly. He's got Georgia at 1, Texas at 2, Ohio State at 3, Ole Miss at 4, Bama at 5, which I think is a little high. Which he might have been when he made this poll. I don't know what he does in his free time. Ole Miss at 6, Miami at 7, Missouri at 8, Oregon at 9, USC at 10, 11 Tennessee, and then 12 Penn State. Yeah,
well,
he might have been, bro. I'm not gonna lie.
well, he's not here to defend himself, so we can't really say.
Yeah, I mean, was Andrew under the influence when making his poll? Leave your answer in the comments. Justin, do we got anything to talk about? Did we want to get into any bets for this weekend? I know I sent you something, and I kind of wanted to bring it up on the show, but
Yeah, well, you go ahead and talk about it, man. You sent me the bets. Let me cue it up here, and you kind of.
yeah, I think because in week 1, there was one thing that didn't come up that let us short of $700, which kind of left Justin short of 600, me 100, because I got to make my profit. Oh my gosh, what did I send? When did I send it to you? Here we go. Okay, have it pulled up. So the first thing is Bama at -16. They play. I gotta have the games pulled up too. Give me like 2 seconds, guys. And while I'm doing that, if you're already subscribed, make sure you subscribe, hit the like button, share with your grandma, because I bet your grandma would love me and Justin.
I got it.
Places. I'm just
I
pulling
got
up.
it right here. So yesterday, I did this yesterday,
Okay.
and I actually got Bama at -15.5 yesterday
Okay.
against Wisconsin.
Yeah, I don't think it's not that I think Bama's great, bro. I think Wisconsin is freaking awful, dude. I don't see it at all with this Wisconsin team. They've looked bad against Western Michigan and South Dakota, bro.
Yeah,
Like these aren't good. They've only beat those teams by 14. Imagine what Bama's going to do. Because despite what you think about Bama, they still beat Southern Florida 42-16. Now, I'm pretty sure the game's in Camp Randall, right?
right.
But how much impact does it really have? The weather's still good up in the Midwest. I'm wearing shorts and a t-shirt right now, bro. And it's going to be like 80 on Saturday here. So it'll probably be like 75.
So I 6-game parlayed this. Ole Miss -23.5. I got against Wake Forest.
Yeah, and I just think Ole Miss is going to continue dominating teams. I don't think Wake Forest is very good.
And then a line that kind of surprised me is Kansas State -7 against Arizona.
I don't think Arizona's. I know Kansas State played Tulane very close, but Tulane is a top 3 group of 5 team right now, from my judgment. And I think Tulane might be a little bit better than Arizona, but you didn't hear it from me.
And then we took West Virginia -2.5 against Pittsburgh.
I thought it was +2.5.
It's mine. They got it at -2.5.
Holy crap! I don't know if I really wanted you to bet that. I saw an ESPN bet. It was 2.5. People must be betting it like crazy from when I sent it to you, because I don't know if Pitt's it, bro. Cincinnati's not a good team. They have injuries on the D. They had 3 injured D linemen that are their starters. Like, and it was still a 1-point game. Like that's hella concerning, dude. That's not a good look for you.
And then we got Notre Dame, Purdue under 46
I think
on the
both.
total.
I think Notre Dame's going to be able to hold Purdue to probably less than 14, 17 points. I don't think Notre Dame's going to score that much.
And then lastly, we have Iowa minus 22 against Troy.
I think and the thing is, I think Troy just is really bad. It's not that I think Iowa's necessarily amazing. Now, will it look like how it looked against Southern Illinois or Iowa State in the second half? I think they'll get to like 30, to be honest. And I think even if Troy scores 7 in garbage time, I don't know, bro. When this Iowa defense plays, man, I know Iowa State's one of the better teams in the Big 12. And if you're able to have any offensive explosiveness against Iowa, it's kind of hard for them to win. So Troy just does not have that at all. Like this team John Summerall is the worst thing to happen. And I mean, he's playing pretty good at Tulane, bro. They almost did a really good job against them. All right, guys. That is the episode at the hour mark. Pretty good timing by me and Justin.
Yeah.
Make sure you like and subscribe. Check out the socials at 4th and Goal Pod on TikTok, Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, Instagram. Make sure you follow Justin at BigJP58 on Instagram and me at X at Drury Noah. Justin, any final thoughts?
No, I'm just ready. Hopefully, we get a better weekend of college football. Here.
It was still a pretty good weekend.
The slate. I mean, dude, I'm talking about for like the common fan. Like, I mean, we could always find something. You know what I mean? Intriguing.
Well, there's always content to talk about in college, unless literally every game is a 30-point blowout. Which, I mean, if it goes the wrong way, I guess we also have
I'm just hoping that my slate hits. That's all I care about. That's my final thought for the day.
Yeah, that's true. My thing is, bro, like the beginning, this is always going to go by so fast, right? From September and October just fly by. I can't believe it's the middle of September already. I feel like football season literally just started.
Yeah.
So when it hits November, man, it's going to be a sad time, bro.
Yeah.
But then we got playoff football in the college in December, and then NFL starts in January. Then it all ends in February, and I disappear and go. I want to be in a cocoon for until September again.
Well, you got the NBA, bro. You'll be all right.
Well, I guess there's March Madness and then the NBA playoffs. Really, just sports kind of like the middle of the NBA or not NBA, middle of the MLB season's just like not entertaining. Like it's entertaining for the first like 20 games, and then you don't pay attention to the last 20.
Right.
Then obviously playoff. It's just the MLB has too much games in their season. Let's be completely honest.
Right.
Needs to only be like 100. I'd say like 108 is like a perfect number for MLB. I think that's like you clearly have a difference in talent and team, but I don't know. We'll see.
All right. Well, yeah, that's it for me. It was a good episode, and like Noah said, hit that like and subscribe button and try to help us out and get us going. We're gonna keep pumping out more content, and it's gonna get better and better as we go, and hopefully we can grow.
And also make sure you stay tuned for our episode on Thursday. We're going to be predicting the NFL's biggest games and college football's biggest games. And if we see other bets that we like, we'll let you know because we're all here to help out the community. Like, subscribe, share with your grandma because, you show like Justin's face probably more than mine.
Yep. All right.